Balloons, 1.5 million of them, caused quite a stir in Cleveland yesterday. It was part of a fundraiser for the United Way.
Who doesn't love balloons? They're colorful, they float, they're made of that same weird material as that suit you found in your grandpa's basement that one time. What could be better than a balloon? 99 of them? I mean, that was so good that it got an entire song written about it, but that is nothing in comparison to what we are going to be talking about today. And that is Balloonfest 86, an event with good intentions that was met with a dark and sinister end. In 1986, the United Way charity, a non-for-profit focused on tackling poverty and supporting local communities by focusing on improving education and health, thought of a great way to raise some funding for their cause. They saw Disneyland, California release a whopping 1.2 million balloons into the air in celebration of their 30th anniversary of the park being open. And they thought to themselves, what if we do that? But with more balloons. And someone at the office said, oh my God, you are a genius. Let's put the wheels in motion. Let's do it. So they held the fundraiser in Cleveland to really put the place on the map. And well, they certainly did that one way or another. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? A few million balloons released into a bustling city. No real way to control where they go. Just kind of at the mercy of the wind, something that even after hundreds of years can only be predicted a few days in advance, and even then it's not really that accurate. But, besides that, what could go wrong? I just want to know, out of all the ideas you possibly could have had to make a fundraiser, why out of all the ideas did you choose to release a bunch of balloons in the middle of a city? Surely there are more cost-effective methods. I don't know, maybe cooking some sausages, maybe doing a little sausage sizzle, maybe selling chocolates. Like, come on. Why balloons? If you think an event like this sounds expensive, you would be 100% correct, because it is expensive. And it definitely was, because the entire thing cost $500,000 to put on. There is no way they raised that much money and more for the fundraiser for releasing a bunch of balloons into the air. The entire event was coordinated by this guy, Treb Heining, a balloon artist? That's the thing? Okay, I mean, makes sense. If you're gonna hire someone to release over 1 million balloons into the air, you'd want someone that's worked with balloons before. And if anyone's gonna know how to blow up balloons, I guess it's a balloon artist.
You can inflate a balloon in 3 seconds, 4 seconds, I understand. How long is it gonna take these kids with no experience?
We're figuring that they'll do about 2 to 3 balloons a minute. I've been doing this since I was 15 years old, so it's unfair to compare, but...
All right, bro, look, it's not a competition, all right? It's fine. We know you can blow balloons up quickly. It's all good. You don't need to specify that. Yeah, I can probably do like 20, 30 balloons a minute. But obviously, these kids, they suck. They don't know how to blow up a balloon to save their life. The closest thing that they've come to blowing anything up is probably the toilet at preschool. That makes 2 of us, buddy. Hey, you're not the only one. Okay. Treb was actually also in charge of the Disney balloon releasing. So if anyone was the person for the job, it was him.
We are easily over 1,400,000 balloons at this point.
So that means you are going to break 2 world records in less than a year.
In less than a year, and I'm real tired of blowing up balloons.
And when you really think about it, that means this guy would have been directly responsible for releasing nearly 3 million balloons into the atmosphere, just out into the environment. Can you imagine the amount of negative effect that he has had on the surrounding environment from just those 2 events? Like, a single guy has been solely responsible for the deaths of, I can't even imagine how many turtles. Their excuse at the time for this entire event is that the balloons are made of 100% natural latex, so they're completely biodegradable. However, when questioned about how long it would take for them to decompose at Disney's balloon release, Ted Vlaumis, the guy who owns the company that makes the balloons, said, I don't have any idea. What? Like, how do you not know? You're the guy that makes them. If anyone's gonna know, it's you. How do you not know how long these balloons are gonna take to biodegrade? You can't just say they're biodegradable and then be like, I mean, at some point they should. That is insane.
Treb, you were responsible for the Guinness Book of Records, which now stands the 1.2 million balloon release at Disneyland in 1985, December.
That's correct. We did that one back in December, and it was the sound barrier in terms of 1 million. A lot of people said you can't release 1 million balloons, and once that was done, now people are thinking, well, how many more can be done?
A lot of people said you can't release 1 million balloons. Look, when people said that, I don't think they were saying, man, you can't release 1 million balloons. I think what they meant was you can't release 1 million balloons. You just can't. But of course, the event went ahead and everything was going good. You know, lots of volunteers were spending their days blowing up balloons. So many, in fact, that people started to tape up their fingers to avoid getting blisters.
Okay, Tanya, show everybody what you have on your hands there. What are those?
Let's tape bandages.
Okay, and what are they for?
They're for getting away from sores from your hand.
Okay, did you get any blisters?
Yeah, 3.
One woman actually lost her watch while she was helping fill up these balloons. Like, how does that happen?
One of the bunches of balloons she had tied to her watch, and the watch opened up, and the balloons took the watch, and it's now going out east somewhere. So John and I say, if anybody finds Mary Ellen's watch tied to a bunch of balloons like this, and if you return it to the station, we'll have all kind of rewards for you. Okay, thanks for coming down, Mayor.
What the fuck was that? Oh my God. Yeah, thanks for coming down here. Oh, give me a big old kiss. The 80s was something else, I'm telling you. Just passion nans left and right. The TV hosts could honestly get away with anything. The fact that there were a bunch of balloons out there floating in the sky with a watch attached to it sounds so dangerous. I mean, it really gives a new meaning to the phrase, how time flies. Am I right? I'm sorry. That sucked. After a few days spent filling up the balloons, it was finally time to release them. The original goal was 2 million balloons to be released, but with a storm the night before and the potential for another storm to happen later that day, they were forced to release them early. Honestly, thank God. Can you imagine if they released 2 million? It was only 1.5 million, which is just still so many, but you know, that's 500,000 that were not just absolutely scouring the cities. So, you know, let's count our blessings. The Earth was truly fighting back for this event to not happen at all. And just like that, on the 27th of September, 1986, 1.5 million balloons were released into the city. The original theory was that the balloons were all going to float up into the atmosphere and away from the city, and then the wind would just kind of take them away and they would pop and land somewhere that nobody could see them because out of sight, out of mind. However, soon after releasing them, the balloons hit a cold front that sent them all back directly into the city. And as the age-old saying goes, what goes up must come down. And by God, did it come down. The balloons were fucking everywhere. To be fair, it would have been insane to see in real life, but the repercussions of what they had just done were only just starting to sink in. There were reports of people crashing their cars, balloons flooding the runways of the local airport, causing massive delays. I never thought I'd have to fear balloons of all things, but by the looks of this, it was chaos. They ended up getting sued for over $100,000 for damages caused, but it was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. But unfortunately, this is where the story takes a dark turn. The waterways were completely littered with balloons, and while that alone was bad, what's worse was that 2 fishermen had gone missing in the days leading up to the event, resulting in the Coast Guard scouring the waters in search of them. And the balloons? Well, they made an already difficult task practically impossible.
It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack here.
And unfortunately, the search was called off 2 days later, and the fishermen were not found until 2 weeks later when their bodies washed up on the shore. The wife of one of the fishermen actually ended up filing a lawsuit to United Way for $3.2 million. But again, it was settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. The entire event was a disaster, indirectly resulting in the deaths of 2 people, and I can't even begin to imagine the environmental impact. I've read a bunch of conflicting stories saying that even after all that, the Guinness Book of World Records did not accept their entry as a valid world record, which kind of gives the entire story this like bittersweet ending, like haha, after all that, cop that, you didn't even get the world record. But upon doing some digging, they did actually validate it. It did count, and it did end up in the 1988 edition of the Guinness Book of World Records. So there you go. Debunked. But that concludes the saga of Balloonfest 86. Since this event, Guinness Book of World Records has stopped accepting any world record that has a severe adverse effect on the environment or has any sort of large environmental impact, such as balloon releasings or those lantern releasings. They don't count them at all anymore, which is good. They took their time, but it's good. But yeah, that's the story. I just thought it was interesting and I wanted to share it with you guys. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Leave a comment of a balloon emoji. They have those, right? A balloon emoji. And with that, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.